Side 2 begins with Don't Lose My Number, the third single off the album and another one of my favourite solo songs from Phil Collins. A fantastic 80s dance rock gem that almost sounds a bit like a cross between Michael Jackson's Beat It and Genesis's Land of Confusion. Like with Long Long Way to Go, it's a bit of a shame that the song doesn't get as much exposure as his other more popular songs. The lyrics are quite interesting, especially since Phil had apparently improvised and thought them up on a whim without giving too much meaning or thought. And yet, they seem to form some sort of narrative, being about a person identified in the chorus as Billy, being chased and pursued by anonymous people, likely either thugs to whom he owes something, or even the law itself that sees him as a potential suspect in a crime or the like. With Phil singing as a friend of said fugitive, advising Billy not to lose his number, so they could keep contact with each other. It's kind of like a sequel or parallel to Just a Job to Do from the Genesis Mama album. They came at night, leaving fear behind. Shadows were on the ground. Fear had to stay behind at home so he could babysit and look after the dogs. Nobody knew where to find him. No evidence was found. Pretty much what Gabalor's forces had been like when they were searching for Big Jack films back in 2022. Well, I exist in the reviewerverse too, so I should reference at least another fellow internet critic, right? But anyways, on a side note, if you weren't paying close enough attention to the lyrics, especially the chorus, chances are you would have likely misheard it as Baby Don't Lose My Number, as opposed to actually Billy Don't Lose My Number. Not that it deters from the hook or melody significantly anyway, but still. This is a pretty good dancey track, with Del Stumer's guitar solo as the big cherry on top of this 80s cheesecake. Next is the shortest track on the album, Who Said I Would? Or as I would put it, Susudio 2.0. As both are high, energetic, synth-heavy cuts with bits of brass from the Phoenix horns. But hey, at least this one isn't accused of ripping off a Prince song, so improvement? I don't know. I'll let you decide on that one. This too has a catchy hook of its own that, while not as iconic as Susudio, is still instantly memorable and hummable, along with some of its lyrics. I know she says she wants me, I hear it every day. Or maybe she only wants me for my shorts and or the cookie in my coat pocket. Either way, I'm okay with it. And I know she knows it keeps me, well there ain't no other way. She's the only other person I know to share my love for Danny Boyle movies. But she's got a heart, must be made out of stone, 'cause when I tell her that she'll miss me when I'm gone, she turns to stone when you are gone, she can't go on. Halfway through the song, we get a brief saxophone solo done not by Don Myrick, but by Gary Barnacle, who had worked with so many bands and artists since the late 70s, such as The Clash, Simple Minds, Kim Wilde, Tina Turner, and even another Genesis member, Mike Rutherford. Even with 14 to 15 seconds, Gary manages to pull off a bit of a high energy excitement, like with the rest of the instrumentation. Then we have Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore? Yet another underrated song of Phil's in my opinion. It's both intimate in its verses and bombastic in its choruses. Its lyrical themes are personal, relatable, and even a bit universal. While many of Phil Collins' tracks, especially in the Face Value album, have been inspired by his untimely divorce, this song was inspired by his manager's divorce, as well as others he had known for years. It's not just about Phil's own relationships and separations, but also about those of the friends and people around him, the people he worked with, the people he knew, the people he grown to become friends with. In fact, you can even interpret it as not just being about romantic relationships, but being about any kind of group or band, similar to how Peter Gabriel, Steve Hackett, and eventually Phil Collins himself would leave Genesis. It's the same sort of story, but this is still a good old song. You done me wrong? it's the same old song forever. After that is Inside Out. Not to be confused with Inside and Out from the Genesis EP Spot the Pigeon, which I could hopefully look into sometime down the road, at least if I have a copy of it. However, this song isn't about Brother Seams and Governor Conway, nor about a bunch of walking, talking emotions inside a girl's mind, but instead, likely about Phil's thoughts on the state of being famous and popular, the exposure he has garnered from such as a result of success, and the pressures that inevitably come about it. Now everybody keeps on telling me how to be, and everybody tells me do what they say. That probably describes me and my parents. I'll help myself, it's up to me and no one else, but till I'm ready, just keep out of my way. I've already made it so far in this video game, and I'm going to finish it, and I won't be needing any help. Now, everybody's got me running around, up and down, and here I am, going out of my mind. Again, that just describes me. But I won't lose sight of all the things I'm looking for. They're coming to me, and I'm taking what's mine. I'm taking this K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack on vinyl, and nobody's going to take it from me. The short and simple chorus is memorable and epic, that it probably wouldn't seem out of place if Genesis did it. Add in the return of Don Merrick for another sweet saxophone solo, and you got yourself yet another underrated track in the Phil Collins' solo discography. And so, our album ends, at least on the LP, with its final single, Take Me Home. And quite the perfect song to go out on. Inspired by the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and its film adaptation starring Jack Nicholson and Christopher Lloyd, this song is from the perspective of a mental patient in a room, although the lyrics are vague enough that it could be about anyone and anybody. The feeling of being trapped within our own walls and rooms, more often not by external force, but by internal choice. Take that look of worry, I'm an ordinary man. They don't tell me nothing, so I find out what I can. I'm an ordinary man! Huh. I guess I got one of these now. Not too bad. There's a fire that's been burning right outside my door. I can't see, but I feel it, and it helps to keep me warm. Or maybe that's just the old electric bar heater that somebody stupidly decided to leave their clothes on. Either way, it's very warm. Seems so long I've been waiting, still don't know what for. There's no point in escaping, I don't worry anymore. And besides, even if I do try to escape, I'll probably get sued for breach of contract. I can't come out to find you, I don't like to go outside. They can't turn off my feelings like they're turning off a light. Well, maybe not, but they could dim it a little. Then of course we get the pre-chorus of No, I don't mind, I don't mind, I don't mind, indicating a feeling of being unswayed by the outside world, and then the epic and iconic chorus of So take me home, 'cause I don't remember. I've been a prisoner of all my life, and I can say to you. Which is likely his way of calling for help, or a way to escape deeper into his isolated escapist world, not knowing that he's only trapping himself even further. Not that anything would change in any ways. He's either a prisoner of reality, or a prisoner of his own fantasies. Or possibly, maybe even both. And here's a little cool trivia. The backing vocals, especially in the chorus, were done by Helen Terry of Culture Club, Sting of U2, and even former fellow Genesis bandmate Peter Gabriel. Although you would likely have to have good audio skills and equally good hearing to notice the familiar vocals, especially since it's all mixed together and kind of blended so unanimously, it kind of gets a little bit difficult to kind of pinpoint and hear it out. But whatever. This is still a really good and emotional song, and it's a perfect finale to this album. At least the LP version of it. Because, of course, the CD version ends with an extra track called We Said Hello Goodbye, likely due to the limited length of a vinyl record. So I'll give you some brief thoughts on that one. And it's alright too. A lovely little piano ballad with a grandiose orchestra to flavour it up a little. Its lyrics deal with the feelings of having to leave some things behind and even some people behind in order to move on to something hopefully better. Doesn't exactly go on a high note like Take Me Home does, but it still fits in fine. So anyway, this album is honestly pretty decent. It's no face value, but I don't think it was ever even meant to be. While that album, and to some extent, Hello I Must Be Going, could be seen as Phil's way of trying to find his own style and doing his first and second solo album, No Jackets Required is him having found both his confidence and his comfort zone and just doing whatever he wanted. I know not everyone's going to be a fan of Phil's music, both Genesis and solo, but if you give it a chance, you might find something here of worth. Studio and One More Night, of course, and Take Me Home are obviously the big hits. But this also has some underrated cuts such as Long Long Way to Go, Don't Lose My Number, and Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore. So, if you're into cheesy 80s music, like the kind of music you hear in Miami Vice or GTA Vice City, I say take this one home and give it one more night to listen to. Next time, we take one last look at 80s Phil Collins music for this year with another Genesis album. And the last one of the 80s albums I haven't covered yet. In the meantime, I hear there's some big stuff going on in both Neptune and Jupiter, so my friends and I better check out on that.